All right, hey guys, here we are, last set here. We got about 20 minutes to get this through. So that's what we're going to focus on here. And one of the things that I'm going to try to do here, I typically try to stay around these shadows. So keep that in mind. You know, I'm not hitting this ball down here. I'm not just blasting it. And the reason I don't want to wind up at min club. If I know I can't get up to Hive range or Zeus, whatever, I'm not going to do it. I'm just going to lay back intentionally. And this is one of the things that the top guys are doing, not so much other guys. So we're using high flight, no power, and we're just positioning the ball. Trying to get it to the left to give ourselves a little bit better angle. And again, right towards the crest, no farther. Now this is going to cover me for all winds. Oh, and of course we get the nastiest one. So this is again what I would call a hole where we can't really get that aggressive. Yes, we can still make it, but it's going to take some luck. And you can see here we're out of Orion range, which means Spectra is going to be perfect. Even if we would have had a tit now. So this is the difference between, and again, I touched on this at the end of the last video. This is something I want to touch on again. Is, let's say we were using a 60-70% ball. This 11 wind would have been reduced to 4.5, 5, whatever. At the 4.5 range, we can get much more aggressive than 9. 9's a little ridiculous. It's very tough to get aggressive on this. Now here, I'm going to be about 5 rings. Here's going to be about 10. So I'm about maybe 10, at least 10, maybe 12 rings for max. Now, one of the things that I got to consider is this ball guide is going to stretch out significantly. So I got to keep this ball guide well short. I'm thinking somewhere along the lines of where I'm at right now. And I know that when I pull off this green, it's going to land short. Now, if I'm thinking of ring adjustment, maybe about 12 short, I'm thinking in the 125 range. So at 9.2 divided by 125, we're at about 7.3 rings. And we're just going to kind of keep our alignment on as much as possible. Maybe just cheat this to the right, because I'm a little worried after this ring adjustment, moving to the target to lower ground, that it's going to kind of try to hang up to the left. And what was it, 7.3? 7.3 is our adjustment, at least. I think, if anything, since I'm not pulling onto that rough, I'm thinking it's going to be a little bit heavier than this. So again, this is just kind of a feel thing, but I'm going to kind of overpull this. Because I was expecting to be kind of down there towards the bunker, and so I was kind of using what I considered maybe a little bit smaller ring adjustment than what I typically would have. So here we come in. And it's still coming in too hot. So not able to stop it, unfortunately. Ugh. So not the greatest shot. And the biggest reason is that downslope. We got to get a little bit more fundamentally sound with these London holes. I'm just starting to play them, and you can see I was significantly, the ball just came in too hot. That's just another shot. It was very similar to that first hole where I was telling you where we at time-wise. Okay, so we're still good. But that was another shot that I was telling you about, how the ball was going to just come in too hot. I kind of knew it, and I just, it hit that downslope and just took off running. So this is one that we can try to get aggressive on. So that's what we're going to try to do. Very nice wind here. I typically like to play, and again, here you can see the max line. We may touch that max line. So this is a little bit more than 5 rings. We just want to kind of size this up here. We do want to make sure that we get to the hole. That looks pretty good to me. 6 rings, right on line. Now, typically I might counter this with like a side spin to kind of play the brake, but I'm going to let the wind break the brake for me. So keep in mind, that's the reason that I'm letting this ball guide kind of roll out to the right. So I think the wind's going to help straighten that out. So now we're going to use somewhere mid-ish to max, like somewhere in between. I don't know if you guys saw, but I made some modifications to my ring values. I'm going to use about 1 1/4 here. And depending on where this is, I'm thinking this may be even just a tad bit light if this touches the line. So I might just adjust more if it does. So I don't know if this is, yeah, it does. So it's touching the line. We're going to switch balls up. I'm thinking I might fractionally go more than this ring adjustment. So maybe right on 7. Here it's coming in. Oh, just light on the adjustment. So you can see we gave it a run for its money. And like I said, I wanted to make sure I wound up on the back side of the pin. So I did bring it in just a tad hot. I'm okay with that because I know if it hits the pin, it's going to fall with that speed. But I want to make sure that I get it there, especially on these down slopes. And again, we had 2 bad holes here. It looks like we're still clear here. 2 drops, but imagine if we didn't have those drops. We'd still be in the thick of things. So you got to keep all this in mind when you're working through these holes. Is, pro isn't always unmanageable, and it's best that you play up, because what we're going to do playing up in these divisions is we're going to introduce better rewards. We're going to be able to win tour 6 chess. Okay. So I'm going to push up just a little bit. Where's max first off? Okay, so it's there. I'm a little worried about touching max. I don't think I should be. I think I can touch max. Let's go right here, which is probably maybe 1 ring short of max. We're going no power. I'm just going to let this naturally go out. I think I'm pretty sure I'm fine touching the max line. Could even maybe go power. But, no sense to bring in 1 inch costing you. So again, that's just one of those experience things. So I knew I could get out there. Now, one of the things that I'll typically do before I go switch to Viking, as you can see with the headwind here, we are going to go Viking. What I like to do is I just like to size up what this looks like speed-wise. So I can see it's going to break maybe pretty straight, especially with that wind effect. So you can see, and I'm thinking, with this land spot, with this second bounce ball guide, this might be pretty good. I like this. So this is more or less what I'm going to shoot for once I switch to Viking. So this is another tip that you can use when you bring in a club with less ball guide. So let's go here. Go to the Viking. And again, we're just going to kind of mirror what I just mentioned. Just going to make that ball guide look the same. Viking 7 here. Maybe just a little bit for the wind effect. And I really don't remember the way that this breaks. I know it's pretty flat, but I think it might do just a tad at the hole. So at 10-1, I'll typically go near max, very close to 1.7 is almost spot up. So I think this 5.9 is going to be really dangerously close. it's one of those things, I don't know what's going in, but I just want to kind of put my best club and shot forward for making this. And it looks like I'm short of the max line. So typically when I'm short of the max line, I'll typically just over adjust because we're going to go power. And then I might change my spin up just a tad. I don't want this ball to come up short if I can help it. I also want to have enough side spin on to kind of counter that extra power wind effect as well. So that's what I'm trying to do here. I'm just trying to be very careful with what I do so it doesn't end up being too much. This is what we're going to try, and we're not going to try a ton of power. Just about here. And it looks like it's coming in good, but it is stopping short and a little bit too much of the wind effect. And again, it was a guess. It was a pretty good educated guess. I didn't want to, I wanted to make sure with the back pin that I'm not going over the hole. And until I get enough trials and errors on London, because, I just haven't rehearsed this course as much until I get a little bit more comfortable with scenarios and knowing, if I would have known that I could go 0 wind there, I would have did it. But I wanted to make sure when you can't see the ball guide, I couldn't see it on Guardian, which was a good sign that it was probably an upslope. But most of these are downslopes. So you land on a lot of downslopes. So I didn't want to take a chance on this back pin without knowing. So next time we could get maybe a little bit more aggressive. But let's just consider that we didn't get any drops. Because this is just one of the things that I just want to kind of point out to you. If you can just follow my method and kind of get comfortable with this, this is one of the things that you can see, is we're all the way up here, tiebreaker-wise. Even without the ace, down at, and no makes, we're going to be at worst 4th here. And let's look how much tiebreakers we could have fell down and still been in contention here. So we didn't need any drops here. And we did it all with white balls. And the rewards are going to be the same regardless. If I go to I don't use balls on these because all I need to do is get top 15. It's the same rewards. You get this exact same thing. So there's no reason to be overly competitive. Now there's guys that are grinding. They're using the balls. I think we passed one of the guys. You could see he was using Old Glory balls. So there's guys out there that are still doing it and, trying to shoot top scores. This is not me, okay? I'm not one of these guys. Now, sometimes I get top scores, but it's a result of some of the stuff that I'm talking about. Is basically, these near misses, instead of near missing, they just all went in. That's basically the difference. We had 2 bad wins in these 9 scenarios. So we had 2 bad wins that really took us out of scoring position. But we had 7 scoring chances. Well, 6.5. There was one really tough one on that first par 5. But it could have been a scoring opportunity, especially if we used a ball. And this is this is the big difference that I was mentioning, is if we were to use special balls here, we could have had 9 scoring chances. We would have introduced 9 scoring chances with using the special balls. And especially when you're playing for balls on the weekend tournaments, those are the things that you want to consider. So keep all that in mind. Good luck out there, guys, and see you guys next time.